What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is going to be a late night review, so a little bit quieter. The Walking Dead, Season 6, Episode 9, 69 on Valentine's Day. That was not done on accident. Don't try to tell me it was. No Way Out. God, this show started off so well. I mean, oh my gosh. Like, to take a break over the holidays and then to come back on Valentine's Day and kick it off this well is magnificent. From start to finish, this whole episode was just brilliantly scripted, brilliantly crafted, and all of it, every single scene of this episode just had me on the edge of my seat wondering what's gonna happen next. Like, oh my god, what is going on right now? And honestly, most of the shocking stuff happened in the first 20 minutes. I mean, you think about the whole scene with the biker gang has been, like, built up for a while. They had, like, the opening 4-minute scene or something. I'm guessing maybe they showed the entire scene. I don't know. I hate it whenever people try to spoil stuff before you get to watch it. I hate that. I hate it so much. So I did not watch anything about it. I stayed away from all of it. I stayed away from anything having to do with this episode. So all I knew was the little sneak preview we got from the end of the first half of the season. So they're going through this scene, and I'm just kind of, you just get this sense that something's about to happen. You're not sure what, but I don't know if it's just because this show maybe does things a little bit too predictably at times. But as soon as Daryl went behind the truck with the guy, I'm like, okay, I know what's going to happen now. Daryl's going to kick the guy's ass. He's going to take out his missile launcher, and he's whoop-wow! Explosions everywhere. I can see it coming. And sure enough, oh, the way they did it. See, that's the thing. I can see it coming, but the way they do it is so brilliant that I don't care that I saw it coming. I'm just like, that was amazing. You know, because he's sitting there, he's talking to Sasha and Abraham. He's like pulling out the gun. He's just like, I'm gonna kill you now. I'm not gonna kill you. Oh wait, yes I am. I'm just like, okay, here it comes. Bam! I'm like, that was me being quiet. Because, like I said, it's late. But yeah, I mean, it was so well done, such a well-crafted opening sequence that sets up for the rest of the episode. So then they cut to the group moving through the herd. And this one, I kind of knew where it was going, but I didn't know entirely. You know, it was one of those moments where you can just sense something bad's about to happen, but what is going to, what is it? What is going to be the bad thing? Well, they're moving through, they kind of realize, you know, we can't get to the armory, there are too many walkers here to try to hold them off with all the guns, you know, it's just too much, so we're going to get in the cars, we're going to drive away, lure them away, and then, you know, come back later. And so they give Judith to Gabriel, which was a weird decision in my opinion, but he did okay. You know, I will talk about Gabriel in a second because he stepped it up. But then what happens next? Like, Sam is just kind of, we ended the first half of the season with him going, Mom, and I just want to smack him upside the face, like, shut up, you little moron, just shut up. And so you kind of like, okay, yeah, stay with him, you know, go, and he's like, no, I'm coming with you, and I'm like, oh, great, now he's gonna die, and that's kind of what happens, like, you see him start to have another freak out moment, Carol's words are ringing in his head about how they're gonna gut him and eat him while he's still alive, And so he sees like this little kid just walking as a walker, and he starts freaking out. I'm just like, here it comes. You gonna die. You don't. And I honestly, when that happened, I was thinking to myself, okay, so he's gonna die. It's not gonna be that bad. I can deal with it. It's. I don't even like the kid that much. Like he's kind of a little twerp at times. Like it's. But he dies with Jesse holding onto his hand as he gets torn apart by walkers. That was freaking messed up. I mean, like, I I could have taken him getting eaten alive by walkers. I would have been like, okay, fine, be gone. you nothing, nothing bad about the kid playing. They showed some of the interviews with the kid that plays him. Oh my gosh, he's 12 years old and he talks like a freaking adult. It's incredible. But the character itself had to go. He was just getting annoying. But to have him be like have Jesse be grabbing his hand as he's being torn apart is just like that is gut wrenching to think about. Like a mother watching her son and holding on to his hand at the same time. That is. And then on top of that, she doesn't let go, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You are not about to do this. No. You can. Walkers surround her. I'm like, oh my god. You've got to be kidding me. Like, I saw the Sam thing coming from a mile away, but I honestly thought they were setting Jesse up as a freaking love interest for Rick. I was like, it has to happen eventually. He has to move on from Lori. He has to move on from her. She's gone. He's got to move on with his life. Jesse seemed like the one to do it. She wasn't at first. She was married to the guy, but then that guy dies, and then they're kind of moving forward as like we gotta live, we gotta survive, and that's one of the things that you have to have something to cling to, just like Glenn clung to Maggie whenever he was out there. He didn't want to die because he still had something to look forward to. This is what I thought it was going to be for Rick. I thought Jesse was going to be that. So to see her taken out right there, I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, and that's what this show does well, is that they kind of play with your expectations a little bit. Like, some of the stuff is predictable. Some of the stuff is like, I'm watching it, I'm like, yeah, I kind of see where this is going, and some, even though it's intense, you can still kind of guess where it's going. But to see them take this, what could have been a good kind of a romance building, and now Rick has something to live for besides just Carl and Judith. Now he actually has a love to. Now she's gone. And then on top of that, she's grabbing onto Carl's arm, and I'm just like, you cannot freaking have Carl eaten by walkers. Do not even try. And so Rick pulls out the axe. I'm just like, thank you, and chops off her hand. But then the gun falls down. I'm like, they did that on purpose. What's going on? Ron chooses this moment to be a freaking idiot. Points the gun at Rick. And I'm just like, okay, Michonne, do your thing. She stabs him through the chest. I'm just like, I saw it coming, but thank you. Like, it was one of those moments that you can see coming, you can guess is coming, but if they didn't do it the way you guessed, you would have been very upset. Like, I know you've experienced that before. They have to do it this way. If they don't do it this way, I'll be very pissed off. Kind of like the Daryl thing. Like, if he did not pop around the truck with the missile launcher and blow all those guys up, I would have been extremely disappointed. Same thing here. Stabs him through the chest, but the gun goes off. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. They would not just have the gun go off for no reason. Like, he wouldn't just, oh, shot. Oh, I missed everybody. No, something. Dad? I'm like, oh, This shot is probably the most dramatic shot they've had in a long freaking time. It's like all the stuff going on behind him is faded. You've got Carl's face that's just like clean, clean picture compared to everything behind him. You see blood down his cheek, but you can't. The hat is like covering up everything. And he just like looks up, and you see this like where the bullet ripped through. I'm just like, no, no, no. You are not killing Carl. You are not. And this is where I gotta go back and say I hate the fact that people spoil too much on the show. Like watching The Talking Dead, sometimes I don't want to because I feel like they're saying too much. Like I know they're not following the comic or the graphic novels exactly, but everybody kept talking about, are they going to be able to do this thing with Carl? Are they going to do the thing with Rick's hand? I'm just like, okay, so, something bad happens to Carl. He ends up disfigured or something on his face. Like, from what people were saying, it sounded like he gets an eye patch of some sort. Like, I hate the fact that I know that. And then I know Rick at some point, like, loses his hand and I think he gets a hook of some sort. And I'm just like, I hate that I know that. Like, I wish people would stop talking about the graphic novels for those of us who have not read it and want to just experience the show, the twists and turns and stuff, without that. Because if I had not known about Carl, something bad happening to him in the eye patch, at least I think it's the eye. I've heard something happens to his eye. I can't remember where I heard it, but I heard somebody talking about it. So whenever this happened, I was just like, so this is where this is going. But if I had not known that, I would have been like, ugh, and probably had not a heart attack. That's a little morbid. I'm not going to joke about that. But, I seriously would have been like gasping for breath, like, oh my god, I can't believe they just did that. But because I knew, it was just like a hole. Like, the shot itself made me I freaked out because of how awesome the shot was and how intense the moment was. You lost Sam, you lost Jesse. Ron picks up the gun, points it at Rick. Michonne stabs him through the back, and then Carl loses his eye. All of that happened in just like a 5-minute period. I'm just like gasping for breath because it's so freaking intense. But that scene would have just killed it all. Had I not like killed it, I mean in a good way, it would have done so much amazing things if I had not already known. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you know people who haven't read the graphic novel or don't know stuff that happens in the graphic novel, like big events that are probably going to happen in the show, don't spoil it for the people that haven't read it. Because I can't take any more spoilers. I really can't. Like, watching through all of it on Netflix, getting into the show, and having people that have already seen all the way until the current episode, whatever was on at the time. I think it was somewhere in the 4th season, whenever I was watching on Netflix. But, having them around me and saying certain things, oh, it's going to get really crazy, or stuff like, well, if Carol ever died, I would probably lose it. Oh, so Carol doesn't die. Thanks for telling me that. Like, don't spoil stuff for people. That is a huge thing, especially when it comes to this show. Because there's a lot of stuff that they do that would be shocking if people didn't know stuff. It kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones. I'm not a huge Game of Thrones enthusiast, although I do really want to get into the show. But I hear about it all the time, people reading the books and knowing exactly what's going to happen, and then they spoil it for people who are watching the show that haven't read the books. Don't do that. We want to experience it without the books. We want to experience it on our own. All the twists and turns without your input. So, moving on. That like I said, we're like 20 minutes in at this point, so not even halfway through. All of this has already gone down. From there on out, the shocks and surprises are a little bit less, but the intensity is all the way through until the very end. You've got Glenn and Enid working together to try to save Maggie, because we saw her, trying to be attacked by walkers, but she's on that platform. So that, you got that going on. They're trying to figure it out. Enid is like struggling with Do I want to help? Do I want to just go? Glenn's trying to reason with her. Um, you've got you've got what are the names? Crap, so many characters to remember. You've got Tara, Rosita, Eugene, Carol, and Morgan all in one house. Uh, Morgan and Carol, a little bit of clashing at one point, but other than that, kind of stayed away from them talking about what just happened. You've got the wolf guy and Denise. He's taking her outside and like trying to use, like trying to get out of there with her because he needs a doctor. Um, and so you got all of this stuff going on as well as what just happened with all of that. Uh, and very interesting stuff to talk about for each story. First one I want to focus on though is the wolf, because once again, kind of playing with expectations. When Denise was talking to him, I could kind of sense are they gonna try to give this guy like a redemptive storyline type thing? Are they gonna have him be a hero at this moment, and then they're gonna talk to him, they're gonna work with him, and he's finally gonna turn it around? And sure enough, it started off like that because they make a run for the thing. He stabs a walker that's in the way. Denise is about to get bit. He puts himself in the way, stabs it, and gets bit in the process. So it's like, okay, so he just sacrificed himself for her. And so she kind of does the same thing. She says, look, I'll get you to the infirmary. I'm going to help you out. So they get inside. She wraps up the arm, and she's getting ready to, like, she's all right. We're going to go cut it off, but we need to make it to the infirmary. So they get outside and they start to make a run for it. And all of a sudden, like they start getting attacked. They're kind of pushing the walkers away. You hear 2 gunshots, and you see like the bullet holes go through the wolf's chest. It's Carol. I'm just like, see, that is a great way. Because first of all, it doesn't even end there. It ends when he tackles a walker that's about to get to Denise. That is a great way to end his story. Because one, you don't have to put up with all of us going, you guys are idiots for even trying to trust him at this point. You've given him so many chances, enough. So we don't have to put up with that. But 2, you also kind of leave the possibility that maybe he did change in the end. He did save Denise twice. He sacrificed himself for Denise twice. Did he change in the end? It kind of leaves it open for our interpretation. I like that. I like that it's not all definitive. It's not all, I think he did change because this and this and this and this. Well, this person could think maybe he was just acting the whole time. Maybe he was trying to, play them so he could get more help and then kill them all when it mattered. But then, of course, people counter with their own arguments. So I like the fact that they left it open, so we're not entirely sure, was he completely changed, or was it just a moment of he kind of saw something in Denise that enamored him, and so that's why. It was just Denise. It wasn't like he had changed on the inside. It was just something about her. So once again, great way to end the scene. A little bit surprising though, but I liked it. I liked that decision. You've got, like I said, you've got Tara, Rosita, and Eugene in the house with Morgan and Carol. You've kind of got a bit of foreshadowing for the end of the episode with Eugene saying, at some point we gotta fight our way out. And Rosita kind of saying, come on, Eugene, seriously, and walks away. I'm just like, so the way this is going to end is Eugene kind of putting on the big boy guns and going out there to fight, and he does. So it was a little bit predictable, but I do like the fact that we're getting a bit more of Eugene, more of a story arc for him, because he's kind of been, like, he hit a point after we found out that he was useless, when he told them all that he had lied. But he kind of hit a point that just kind of stagnated in his story. Like, he's not, he's still fun to have around. He makes funny jokes at times. But that's about it. He's only really there as a comic relief. He doesn't do much outside of that. In this episode, we got a bit more of him trying to find the courage, trying to become a better person. So that was really good. You've got, after what happens with everything in the middle of the herd, you've got Rick carrying Carl into the house. Michonne is following behind, like taking out the walkers in their way and behind that are coming at him. Uh, so he gets them in and sets them down on the table. And as they're fixing them, like it just kind of goes silence in his ears. You know, like you know what I'm talking about. It's the moment where it sounds like somebody stuffed cotton in your ears because you can hear like everything's muffled, but there's like this ringing going on. Um, he's having one of those moments, and he just like goes outside and he cuts to black for the commercial break. I'm just like, did nobody's trying to stop him? Like, what are they thinking? It cuts back. He is tearing up. He's just whack 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 with the little hatchet. I'm just like, oh my god, he's going freaking ham on these walkers. What is going on? And then they're still inside. And Michonne's like, I have to go out there and help him. I'm like, help him? You need to bring him back inside. She and Aaron and the black guy with the glasses and the dreads, I can't remember his name right now, they all go outside and they get into a little circle. And they're tearing through the zombies. I'm just like, walkers. I'm freaking out. I'm like, they're not about to do this. They are not about to do this. They do it. They're going through Alexandrians, some like a couple of Alexandrians that we don't know, see them doing that. They come out with their own machetes and something to stab with. They come out and they start tearing through this. Gabriel looks outside, says, it's our time now. Has an inspirational quote. You prayed that God would, deliver us. He has. He's given us the courage to save ourselves. I'm just like, oh my gosh, Gabriel just delivered a badass line. What just happened? They go out. They start tearing through. All of them. It's like Eugene and Rosita and Tara go out and they start tearing through. I'm freaking out. I'm like, this is incredible. This is exactly what I wanted to see whenever I tuned in to take out the herd. I'm thinking of all the ways they can do it. I'm thinking of, do you draw them away? Do you find, I don't know, a minigun of sorts and just start ripping them to shreds with them? How do you... All of the Alexandrians band together and just start wrecking them, stabbing them through the head, all together. It was brilliant, and it was a perfect moment to show just how together they've become. And I will talk about that a bit more because Rick has a moment about it at the end too. But it was just, it was brilliant. On top of that, Daryl and, okay, hang on, actually, before that, Glenn and Enid come in to save Maggie. Glenn's shooting at the walkers to draw some of them away because there's so many that they're now shaking the tower Maggie's on. Enid's climbing up to get Maggie over the wall while Glenn is still drawing them away. And then there's just this moment where, once again, I find myself, like, my breath is caught in my throat because I'm like, no, they're not, no, they can't do this again. They cannot seriously try to convince me that they're about to kill off Glenn, and then they don't. No, I'm just, no. You're not going to do this to me, Walking Dead. You're not going to do this to me. I don't believe you. I do not believe you for 1 second. And Glenn's like he's taking more shots. All of a sudden they start surrounding him more. Maggie goes to shoot a few of them that are coming from behind. She's out of bullets. I'm just like, no. No, it's not going to happen. He's going to find a way out. He's going to squirt his way through. He's going to pull out a knife and start going ham. Maggie's going to jump down or something and start helping him. No. Swarm is coming closer and closer. He is now surrounded. I'm like, okay, so the possibility is there that they might, and then it's like on top of him, like, oh crap, he's dead again. And then taking out all the walkers. Sasha and Abraham, I'm just like, see, that is why I'm kind of frustrated. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a TV show. It's gonna have moments like this where everything seems lost. Deus Ex Machina, and it's not completely unexplained like the Eagles from Lord of the Rings. They were on their way back already, and they did have weapons, so it does make sense why they would be there. But to get there at that exact moment when Glenn is about to be taken down, and all of us at home are going, no, and then they show up and take them all out before one of them can get a bite on him. It's just a little bit unbelievable. um, and so it's kind of hard to constantly suspend your disbelief whenever they keep doing this same type of stuff. They have Glenn seem like he's getting ripped apart earlier in the season, and then it turns out, oh no, he was actually, there's a body on top of him, and he crawls up under a dumpster. That was a bit unbelievable. And then you've got this scene where he's being surrounded by walkers, and before any of them can even get a bite on him, he somehow knows to duck as Abraham and Sasha take out all of the walkers around him right in the nick of time. It's just a little too much for me. Don't get me wrong, it was an intense scene. I understand why they did it that way. But it was a little, it took me out of the moment for a second, because I was just like, you really had to go that way? You really had to do it like that? You really tried to trick me into thinking Glenn was dead? I hate you right now for a second. And then of course, the story moves on and I start to love it again. But I know there are a lot of Walking Dead people out there. A lot of them were upset by several different things. Every freaking article I read about The Walking Dead now feels like they're talking about mistakes in The Walking Dead, stuff that it does wrong, and blah 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 blah. Why I hate The Walking Dead. Whenever things get this popular, you're always going to have people that are going to step up and say, I hate it because of this. It's still a good show. It's still an enjoyable show. Are there moments like this that kind of feel a bit stupid and in there just to make you feel intensity for a second before they narrowly escape? Yeah, but most shows do that. This is just, it's a show that has killed off main characters before. So these moments seem more intense and more of a letdown when nothing actually happens, because we've seen them do it before. And so to see them kind of cop out of it at the last second, it's kind of like saying, it's almost like they're playing a joke on us, and we're the ones that the joke is being told on. So we feel a bit gypped as the audience. But I still think that what happens around that moment is still good story and good action, good intensity. So after that, they show up with the tanker, and Glenn and Daryl finally get to talk after such a long time of not talking to each other. It's gonna be so much fun to see Daryl and Rick again in the next episode, because that is one of the main things that I'm so excited to see. The team's finally back together. You've had, for so long, you had Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham. You had Glenn off by himself. And then you had, Rick and everybody else inside the town. And even then, they're still sort of separated inside the town. So it's nice to see them all back together. They start talking about, we don't have to lure them away. We can just get them all in one spot and be done with it. So they pour the gas from the tanker into the pond. Daryl takes out the missile launcher, blows up the pond, and all the walkers start getting drawn towards the big fire and into the pond as they're burning, not alive. They're burning to death, but they're already dead. They start burning. They're not burning alive, they're not burning to death, they're just burning. Sounds weird, the more I think about it. Anyway, but even though all that's happening, there's still walkers going after Rick and all of the Alexandrians that are making their last stand. And this scene was just so brilliantly edited. I had to rewind it and watch it again, because it shows them all hacking their way through the horde that's coming at them. And it just, all of a sudden it starts cutting so quickly that all you see is just a quick motion of them doing this, and Walker face falls off, this head falls off, and then all of a sudden it just cuts quickly between all of them, just oh, it was brilliant. In my opinion, that has to be like one of those things that you just kind of save on something. You know, if you wanted to show like a preview into this show or something, if you wanted to show like a commercial about the show, show that scene because that was amazing. I loved it. The music was swelling. It was all so intense, and just seeing that was awesome. And then the final one is like Rick going, slow motion fades to black. I'm just like, God, that was incredible. It's freaking awesome. Um, and so then it, like when it comes back, you see all of them just kind of sitting on the porch together. And then like you go inside, you've got somebody recovering. Can't remember. Oh, they're patching up Daryl because he got injured fighting that one guy. Um, you've got Carol, no, Michonne holding Judith. Uh, you've got Maggie and I think was it Maggie and Glenn together? I think something like that. But it just kind of panned around everybody. It had like this emotional music playing, and then it shows Carl lying in bed with the uh, gauze over his eye. And Rick has this moment where he starts talking about what I said earlier, where the Alexandrians stepped up and they all stood together as a almost like a family. And it was a little bit cheesy. Because I kind of knew where he was going. I knew he was going to have this emotional moment, followed by him, you know, you gotta wake up, and then Carl, in the last second, grabs his hand. I'm just like, okay, that was really cheesy. I've seen it done before, but it was a very good moment. Aside from that, like everything Rick says is kind of like build up for what's going on right now and what's going to happen later, because he hasn't been trustworthy of these Alexandrians. He feels like they're expendable. He feels like they can't cut it. He just saw them learning how to cut it in this incredible horde they had to face. So he kind of realized the mistake of his ways. So it really does set up well for the rest of the season and what's going to happen there. And then, you know, having it end with him with Carl grabbing his hand is not terrible, but it did feel a bit like, you know, you could see it coming. You know, he's like, Carl. And then his painting down arm, and I'm just like, okay. You could just cut to black right there, and maybe next week it's kind of left in question, like how he's doing. Will he recover completely? What's going on? All that stuff. But, you know, it's a TV show, like I said, so they're going to do certain things that are TV show tropes and cliches. Sometimes you just have to roll with it because, hey, outside of those two cliches that I mentioned, this episode was by far the best in a long time. I can think back to probably like a couple of the finales or mid-season finales in like 3 and 4. The one where the governor attacks the prison is one that kind of sticks out in my mind as one of the best. This one was just, it was so, for lack of a better term, balls to the wall insane in how massive and just intense it all was. From the very first second to the end of it, when they're hacking through the horde, it was just all so intense, and I got this rush of adrenaline watching it that I just couldn't sit still. I was just sitting there, my legs were bouncing, I'm sitting there like this, like what's gonna happen next? It was so well done that I can put up with those cliches. You know, I can put up with the fact that, yeah, they do slip away from death at the last second, time and time again. Yeah, that final scene didn't have to end with him going. You know, you could have cut that, but you know what? I don't care. You know, I don't. I know I have to talk about the bad stuff because this is a review, but the truth is, as a fan of the show and as a viewer from home, I don't care about those cliches in the moment because all the stuff going on around it is so epic and crazy and awesome that I can't help but get sucked in. I can't help but get sucked into the point where I ignore that. And that is saying something. Because especially today, when you think about, first of all the reviews that are out now, all the critics that are out now. I say critics, not like, actual movie critics that sit down and write reviews that end up in news. I'm talking about, you think about YouTube. A lot of the most popular channels on YouTube critique movies, review movies in some way. And so we have kind of gotten to that sense of, we need to judge things. We need to judge this. We need to judge TV and movie and all of this stuff. We need to judge it. That we kind of get bogged down in that judgment so much that we overlook the fact that this was really good. Because it was. This was a really good episode despite those couple of flaws. It was just a couple of things that really don't make much of an impact because the rest of it was so stand out incredible. So that's exactly how I feel about it. Hopefully it keeps up the intensity. Probably going to see a bit more about Negan, and I feel like now the first half of the season was all about the mega herd and how they were going to survive that and how they're going to get, well, now they've pretty much dealt with most of it. One part of it is gone. The part that came and attacked them is now taken care of. Bodies are filling the streets, though, so that's, cleanup is going to be an issue for the next few episodes, I think. You're going to have, like, one part of the episode is going to be Rick and Daryl, like, out hunting down clues about Negan's gang, and the other, they're going to cut back, and it's going to be, like, everybody sweeping the streets. It's going to be that would be hysterical if they did that. I don't think they will. But that would be so freaking funny. Intensity. We're going to get these bodies off the streets, guys. It's going to start smelling real soon. So, we'll see where they go with it. But I really do hope that they keep it up. And I hope that we learn enough about Negan's gang in the next group, or in the next episode, that we don't have to focus so much on getting to know them throughout the second half of the season. We can get back to the intensity of how we're going to deal with them. What's the ultimate goal? What is the goal here? Are we going to have to kill them? Are we going to try to defend ourselves from them? What's going to happen next? So, I'm excited. What do you think? Was this the best episode of The Walking Dead ever? Or was this a really great episode? Or did you not like it? I understand opinions are out there, but if you didn't like it, I mean, honestly, just get off my channel forever. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Please stay. I need subscribers. Speaking of which, like and subscribe for more of The Walking Dead content. Check out my other videos. Review a lot of TV shows. And in case you're still watching and you happen to watch my other reviews, I know that I missed a lot of shows. I've been really busy. Legends of Tomorrow, Blacklist, and Elementary reviews are coming up. Hopefully I get a chance to watch them tomorrow because I won't be as busy. Because winter break, yay! So, I will get those reviews out if you are, for some reason, like, waiting for those, which I have like 20 subscribers right now, so if anybody's actually waiting for that, that'd be interesting. But anyway, just wanted to let you know if you happen to be watching this and you're waiting for that. So, I will get those reviews out tomorrow, hopefully, and I'll see you then. Peace out.